We're going to call the meeting of the Madison County Fiscal Court to order. Kenny?
Master King.
Here.
Master Barger.
Here.
Master Hughes. Master Combs. Judge Clark.
Here. Like the court's permission to make one slight amendment to the agenda, and this was just an oversight. At the court meeting April 1st, motion by Greg and seconded by Billy Ray, awarded the architectural and engineering bid for the expansion of the Madison County Emergency Operations Center, and we failed to include that the authorization to allow me to sign any and all agreements necessary for the architectural and engineering services associated with this project, which are the contracts. So I would like, if it's okay with you all, to amend the agenda and then bring this up after the order of business. Is that okay with you, Roger? It's included in all the boards. Okay, you all have had a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting. If there are no changes or discussion, motion would be in order to approve those as submitted in your packets.
So moved. Second.
Master King.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. We've got treasurer's report today, Glenna.
I handed several things out to you. One was the budget. It's just a draft of the budget for you all to start looking at. The other was the personnel policies that we're going over and codes. Those are for you to look at right now, and then we will have first reading later on both those. Then I also handed out the report for this month. On February 28, 2013, our total fund budget was $6,616,783.24. On March 31st, 2013, our fund total is $6,237,845.02. Right now, at the end of March, we should be sitting somewhere around 75%. These were the numbers that we used to go over our budget with. General fund revenues are at 79.9% and expenditures are at 53.9%. The road fund revenues are at 91.3% and their expenditures are at 78.3%. The jail fund revenues are at 77.6% and the expenditures are at 79.1%. CSEP revenues are at 30.9% and their expenditures are at 28%. And the 911 revenues are at 72.1% and their expenditures are at 50.5%. Does anybody have any questions about the materials handed out today?
No.
Okay.
Thanks, Glenna. Okay, order of business, and first on the order of business, we'll do the resolution 1302, and this again is the resolution authorizing the county judge executive to execute agreements for the architectural and engineering services for the Emergency Operations Center on behalf of the Madison County Fiscal Court. And as I read, Greg made the motion, Billy Ray seconded it, and whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court does now authorize Kent Clark, Madison County Judge Executive, to sign any and all agreements necessary for the architectural and engineering services associated to the project.
So moved.
Second.
Master King.
Yes.
Master Barger.
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes.
We'll get notified of who it is doing it and whatever.
Yeah, this is just where we awarded it, Roger, so I can sign the contracts with it. Okay, first on the agenda, it's that time of the year for our rural road program, rural secondary road, and our buddy Brett Blair's over from District 7. And Leroy and I had met with Brett and his staff a month or two ago and gone over this, and he wanted to come over and make his presentation.
Probably the same that you got.
Okay.
Can I go ahead and put a copy for each of them?
Yeah, we'll put it back in their packets, Brett. I think I handed it. Didn't you have a copy of that, Roger? Didn't I give you all copies?
Yeah. So you talking about this?
Yeah.
This.
Yeah. Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Okay, there's two pieces of paper in your packet. One is just an informational sheet. Tells about the rural secondary program, tells about rural secondary roads, how they're part of our state primary road system. The The back of the page tells how the rural secondary road funds are calculated. Essentially, it's a part of the gas fund tax, and based upon your rural population, your rural road mileage, and your rural land area, then Frankfurt runs it through a formula and spits out a number every year that they hand out to each county based on those factors. And then when the money comes in, a portion of it must be used on our actual state rural secondary road system, which the second page has money values on the front and a map on the back. On that map, the yellow roads on there are what we call our RS roads, the rural secondary system. And so any of those yellow roads, this money can be placed on that. A portion of it has to be put on it, and I lift my glasses. The $1.1 million of it is basically must be used on our state system. There's another $277,000 that are known as flex funds that can be flexed for use over on your county road system, or it can be put on our state RS system, but it's your choice. You get to flex that usage. What we've done is had our engineers drive the roads, and they've made recommendations and met with the judge to get his agreement on how to use those two separate pots of money. The orange diamond below, which corresponds to the orange circles on the back of the map, that's our recommendation for how to spend the $1.1 million portion of it. Should you choose to put your flex funds back on state roads, then the green diamond recommendation is included there. So basically, looking at the orange diamond, then we're suggesting 3.8 miles of Walnut Meadow Road, 3.4 miles of Kentucky 1016, 1.4 miles of Crooksville Road, and 2.3 miles of Scaffold Cane Road. And then if you want to put your flex funds on the state route, then we have 1.2 miles of Dreyfus Road and 1 mile of Barnes Mill Road. What we're asking for you guys today is to make a decision about how you want to use the flex funds. Yes would be that you want to put them back on the state route, the green diamond recommendation. No, that you would want to hang on to them and use them for your county road system, on which you can do either full width strip patching or bituminous resurfacing only. The other recommendation from the court is that you accept the roads we've listed under the orange diamond.
Brett, explain to the magistrates, last year flex funding, and of course we've been very good at dividing it up with state roads, and if you'll see the 7 to 9 year recycling. Would you explain that, along with why the 20% on flex funding went to 15 for them, so they understand that?
Yes, sir.
332 and went to 277, please.
That's right. Yeah, actually, you see that there's a percentage listed there. It had been a set 20% for the first 4 years of the program. And the majority of counties in the state had taken that 20% and put it on their county roads. That resulted in the average resurfacing cycle for the RS system across the state to actually go above 15 years. 15 years is what they want the average to be. Most of the engineers doing the work are shooting for 12. I think that's what Paul usually shoots for. It's about 12 years?
Usually 10 to 12.
10 to 12 is what Paul shoots for here in this county. If you look at the top, it says 7 to 9 years resurfacing. The reason you guys have such a good resurfacing cycle is, as the judge has stated, for many of these years, you've put the road back into the state system. In order to recoup some of the funds to get them back on the RS system, then people from the Department of Rural Municipal Aid tried to come up with a system to get some of it back. Unfortunately, it it made many of the counties feel like it was a judgment on the county instead of a judgment on our part. What we did is we used what's known as our maintenance rating system, which is a system where random 500-foot sections of our entire roadway program are selected across a district. And that means not only RS roads, but also our primary, secondary, and supplemental roads. And a team of two goes out, looks at everything that's related to maintenance, such as shoulder width, guardrail, signage, condition of the roadway surface, the striping, all of that stuff that has to do with the maintenance. And then they give it a grade, A, B, C, D. And then that grade is assigned to the district. They do this annually. They're hoping that each district would get a grade of B. District 7 has received a grade of B or C for the last several years. But they've never had an actual county rating. So in order to assign a county rating, they contacted the UK Transportation Center and asked them to run the data to actually come up with county ratings. So they took 3 years worth of district ratings in order to have enough data elements within each county. And then they took those randomly selected spots within your county, remember across all the state primary road system, not just the RS system, and they were able to assign a grade. In the case of Madison County, that 15% relates to a grade of C, but it's not a grade of Madison County, as in you guys, your court, all of the elected officials within the county. It's a grade of the transportation cabinet and its roadway system. And it was originally designed so that central office in Frankfort could assign monies based upon which counties needed the most work. Unfortunately, when it was applied into this system, then a number of counties took exception to what we did because they felt like we were rating their county. We're not actually rating Madison County and its court and its officials here. I disagreed with the way they did it because it's based upon all of our road system, and here we're just working with the RS system. And no credit was given, no credit was given to any county that chose to put the money back onto the state system. And so in the case of Madison County and several other counties in our district, I feel like some exceptional credit should have been awarded and nothing taken away. But they haven't listened to me up until this point, but there has been a bit of furor over this as it's been released to all the county judges and they've heard it. So in this case, you guys did get 15%. The way the Department of Rural Municipal Aid has asked me to explain it is to tell you that instead of getting full funding, you're getting 75% of funding this year. So, and that's essentially why your flex funds have dropped from last year to this year. I do apologize personally, but there's nothing I can do about it because it's the way Frankfort issued it. But I do encourage you to, Judge, I do encourage you to contact the commissioner if you would like him to consider. I mean, my suggestion was that if 20% was too much, just make it 15% across the board. Tell everybody this is what you get this year. But unfortunately, they did it in a way that it's not quite as palatable as I would like it.
Don Pasley tried to explain this, and we didn't like it any better then than we did now.
Well,
It's just the way it's gonna
the
be.
good ones are getting penalized
That's right.
to take care of the bad ones. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that is what happened. That's the reason I said there should have been some kind of two things. There should have been credit for if you give the money back to the state, then they should have said, let's leave that county alone. And then the other thing is they actually did this grade over 12 or 15 different categories. And since we're really concentrating on resurfacing and find it to be of such value, then there should have been a higher rating given to those counties that had put it on resurfacing as well. So,
Well, in my mind, Brett, we're an A or an A minus, okay?
well, I agree. In my mind, then you're an A county. It's all 12 counties in this district deserve to be an A. And so, but by the way, I'm glad you mentioned that. There were no counties that actually received the official A grade. B was the highest grade across the entire state of the 120 counties. C was the average grade, though.
Okay, getting back to your question, I'll ask the court, with budget restraints and things that are going on the last year or two, we've taken the flex funds, even though it's down $55,000, it's still $277,000, which is very much needed on county roads, I think, at this time, with us cutting the budget, our road department budget in Blacktop. Also, we're staying caught up, and we're putting the $1,045,000. And I might want to add what Matt had talked about in the meeting and stuff is, if you'll look, there's still $60,000 left, and we're looking at ways that we can improve the state roads use that as guardrail or something like that. But it's still ours. We don't lose it.
That's correct. And when we had those meetings, and Matt was making that suggestion, it was at that time, then we thought they were reclaiming everything that was in the free balance. I've had some clarification from the Department of Rural Municipal Aid that that's not the case. It really is all of your money to keep. And as a matter of fact, Madison County was one of our examples for this year that you had money you didn't use last year that rolled over back into this amount here.
So they've changed it now, and it continues to be a fund balance, and we can roll it over to next year?
Unless
you
Larry Tincher is our field agent. Have you met with him from Department of Rural Municipal Aid? I don't know if he's been out to visit with you, but
I've known.
I had a discussion with him on Friday, and we talked about this for a couple hours just to make sure that I understood it correctly. And yes, as I understand it at this point, you don't lose it. It does roll back over into your fund. So even if we don't get this other $55,000 spent on anything, because if you remember our discussion about the guardrail, it has to pop up as Madison County is the next one in line. And if that's the case, we could go ahead and apply it. But otherwise, we'll leave it and let it roll over into next year's funds.
Okay. At this time, I'd like the court's permission to take the flex funding to apply to county roads this year and go along with recommendations for fiscal year 14 from District 7 and Brett Blair.
So moved.
Second.
Master King,
Yes.
Master Barger,
Yes.
Judge Clark.
Yes. Anything else, Brett?
That's it. I'm going to get a signature from you.
All right.
Go ahead and check no on your decision part. That means you're putting it on the county roads. And signature and date.
And always, we'll get the road, send you a list. You all send
That's it.
Larry over to inspect them, make sure that they're in need of blacktopping before you do it.
Well, actually, that, interestingly enough, that list will come over. I'll probably do a ride with the road supervisor again, just to
Okay.
double check it and get it all moving ahead. The extra funds that you get, those special funds from the secretary, Larry comes and checks those.
Yeah.
It's their way of auditing, making sure that
Okay.
everything's fair. So,
Brett, we appreciate it. Randy, Paul, thank y'all for coming in. I'm sure you got plenty to do, so.
I'm not sure I didn't ask. We'll ask her. Yeah, it's already done, yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda, and Scott couldn't be here. He is on vacation fishing someplace. And he asked me so they could go and get started on this scaffold cane dump. He's got the bids. I think I put copies in your packets. We had 3 bids. Rick Childers came in cheapest at $34,300. We have a copy of his insurance and his bond, and he was $5,000 cheaper than the one and about $7,000 cheaper than the other. And Scott had asked me to recommend Rick Childers to go on and get started cleaning up the dump.
We just reading where it says using dump trucks to transport trash. The other shows dumpsters. I'm assuming that means he's furnishing the dump trucks.
Yeah, well, it's 100%. We don't do anything.
Make sure, I know it ain't our obligation, but that he tarps them so it won't be scattered all over
Yeah,
the roads again.
They do that.
Make a motion that we accept Rick Childers' bid.
Second.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Barger?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes. Next, Leroy's on vacation, also fishing, but in a different place than Scott is. So Leroy had asked me because he needs to get this fellow started. We've got a whole lot of concrete work to do, and we've just lost another one of our masonry specialists. He got a job making about $11 more on the hour than we were paying. So Leroy's kind of advertised, and he's got one he interviewed last week. He's excellent. He's got about 15 years' experience, and Leroy would like to hire him and start Monday if possible. His name's Sean Algren, and Leroy said he could do the stuff, and of course he'll be on probation, and it's kind of told if, I don't know, in 30 days whether you can do it or not, and if you can't do it, so you probably need to go find another job. But
What's the,
What's he start out at?
$12. So if there are no questions on Leroy's recommendation, then we'd like to hire Sean Algren.
so moved.
Second.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Barger?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes. Next on the agenda is open bids on our CPE phone bids. Mark?
Judge, I have spent a great deal of my morning opening these bids. Carl, I'm assuming that they were received within the appropriate time.
Yes, all 3 of them. There's 2 companies that bid. The larger boxes there on the floor are from the same company. They offer 2 solutions. And then the second company is the smaller box in comparison to the others.
We've opened them this morning. They were properly sealed and received within the appropriate time, so we can give those to the clerk and then on to Carl, and then he can review them and report back in the next meeting.
Okay, that'd be fine. Thanks, Mark. Also had bids on the field decon and hospital decon.
Exact same situation. Carl's bids, he presented those to me this morning. I have looked at them. They were also all properly sealed and received within the appropriate time and the same procedure. They can look at them and then report back at Carl's convenience.
All right, thank you all very much. Judge's report, just a couple of things. Airport open house is Saturday the 27th from 11 to 3. I think they have free barbecue starting at 12 o'clock and free airplane rides for the kids. So we'd like to get a big crowd out to the airport. They're really doing a good job right now. They wanted me to announce that. And then I think we've got Luetta Hetrick. She's going to come talk to us a little bit about Civil War Living History Day, Saturday, May 4th, 10 to 2 at Battlefield.
That's right. Judge Clark, thank you for letting us come. But on behalf of the Battle of Richmond Association and our president, Sharon Graves, Sharon has done an excellent job for the past several years educating our children. Grades 4 and 5 come from several different counties to come on Thursday and Friday. But this year we've decided to open it up to the public on Saturday from 10 to 2. And so come, I think some of the presenters will be cooking there on the field, and you can even sit down and have lunch with them at noon. So come and enjoy and experience making butter yourself, or seeing how the kids make their own rag dolls, or get in line and get a gun and drill with them. But I hope that the county can come and join us next Saturday, May 4th. Thanks.
We average about 500 a day for the 2 days for school kids, don't we, Louetta?
This year it's going to be 900 because testing is down a little bit. But usually we have over 1,000
Around 1,000, okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time to come in. Okay, that's all I have in the judge's report. Department heads? Anybody? Carlton? Dwayne? Nobody? Doug? Comments from magistrates? Greg?
I'd like to be fishing with the rest of them, but but no, the weather's pretty and things is going pretty good. The grass is growing, covering the trash on the side of the road, so we ain't gonna see that until they bush hog. But other than that, let's worked on that this winter, and it seemed like a lot of it wasn't too much accomplished, but it ain't that I ain't tried. But other than that, it's just, I'll take Larry's quote. It's good to be here.
Roger?
I hope everybody appreciates the road department for, we had a flash flood and it washed a lot of debris out into the roads. I know Crutcher Pike in my district was just about impassable. I mean, you could see where people had been driving over it, but you had to have a pretty high-sitting vehicle to do it. But they've got it pushed out of the way. Some of it's still on the sides of the road, and I'm sure it's just a matter that they've been busy and haven't been able to pick it up and clean it up. But I think they do a good job, and when something like that hits, they've always been able to get out and take care of us. Just want to remind everybody again about the flower sale, the Cancer Fund flower sale. It'll be Friday and Saturday, 12 to 8 on Friday, and 8 to 5 on Saturday. Appreciate you help to come out and contribute to the Cancer Fund. Every penny of it goes, all of it's volunteer help. We buy a lot of things out of our own pocket and provide all the vehicle transportation and the fuel and whatever. So it's a good cause, and appreciate your help in doing that.
Thanks, Roger. Billy Ray is in Washington, really. Larry is fishing. But it's that time of year. We haven't had any weather, so.
Is the sheriff fishing too?
I don't know if Jerry will or not. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to approach the court? Say anything at all? Kenny, glad to have you here.
I just wanted to take a minute and invite the court and all those who are present today. On May 2nd, on the courthouse lawn, we're having a celebration for the National Day of Prayer. And we know that there's a lot of things that this nation needs to pray about. And certainly we would love to have you all come and be with us and be part of that. And that's all I got.
Kenny, will that be like an all-time, the times on it?
It's noon. We start at noon. We'll be done because a lot of folks are going to take their lunch hour and come. And we're going to start at noon and be done hopefully by about 12:45.
Be good. Thank you, Kenny.
May the 2nd, Thursday, May the 2nd. Mm-hmm. And all across our nation, communities are coming together to do the same thing.
You know, when my father was county judge 100 years ago, we did something very similar to this. And the part of the nationwide celebration was that all the courthouses were going to ring their bells at a particular time. I was a young lad, and I was there with, I think my nephew, Brad, maybe Brian. But anyway, it was a big deal because I got to ring the bell. Hadn't been, rung in years. And so I got up there at the top of the courthouse, and I got that big old rope, and everybody's waiting and waiting and waiting. And then finally it's time to pull that rope, and I do. And that rope just,
Oh, no.
just disintegrated. Instead of went up and, so we were the only county, I think, in the whole nation that didn't ring the bell. But we tried awfully hard. It just didn't work. But I grabbed that thing, and man, I just gave it all I had. And
Well, I tell you what, if the bell's working and you want to ring it, that sounds good to us.
count me in.
Okay.
Trust me, the bell doesn't ring.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kenny. Anybody else, the audience? If not, the next court date will be May 14th in Berea. And with that, I would ask the court to pay the claims and approve the transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Magistrate King?
Yes.
Magistrate Barger?
Yes.
Judge Clark?
Yes. Thank everybody for coming in. We appreciate it. And a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I got that